Welcome to the Business Spotlight series. My name is Kay Cote, and I am your podcast host here in Action Coach in Central Texas. And today on the show, we have Gerardo Del Real, co-owner of Digest Publishing, with me on the show today. Super excited to have him on. We're going to be talking about his business, his journey to business ownership, as well as what it really takes to own and operate a business. If this is your first time on our channel, be sure to like and subscribe to get notifications when we drop episodes like this one. Well, welcome to the show. How are you?
Thank you so much for having me. I'm excited to be on. I love your platform. So yes, thank you. I am well.
Awesome. Well, so glad to have you here on the show today. I'd like to dive in and give everybody a sneak peek a little bit about you and then a sneak peek on the business.
Yeah, let's get to it. We've lived here in the Austin area. My wife and I are three beautiful boys for about 11 and a half years now. I my family's from Zacatecas, Mexico, and I spent my childhood in Chicago, bounced around a little bit. Eventually met my wife in Anchorage, Alaska, and spent 17 years in Anchorage, Alaska before making the move here to the Austin area. So that's on the personal side. That's kind of how we ended up here. On the business side, I co-own a couple of businesses, actually. I mean, first and foremost, I'm an investor, right? We write checks, we invest directly into companies. My knitting is resource companies, so companies that are in the mining business, companies that are looking for the stuff that makes the stuff, is what I like to say, right? If you're looking for copper, if you're looking for lithium, if you're looking for gold,
Mm.
that's my specialty. So first and foremost, my business partner and I are investors, and that's actually kind of how Digest Publishing was formed. We were already in the space, we were already investing. He was running a division for another publishing group out of Baltimore at the time, and so we ended up connecting and decided that we were generating the bulk of the revenue and launched Digest Publishing here several years ago. So it's a boutique financial research group that provides, ideas and research on everything from crypto to resource stocks to tech stocks, you name it. That's the very short version of what I do.
Wow. Well, I'm super excited to dive in, especially you have so many fun parts of life, so many elements that are coming together in this, who you are today. So excited to learn more about you and the business. And so, what would you say now currently? Let's kind of focus on this company that we are, talking about. How do like, are you structured with multiple partners? Do you have other investors involved with the publishing company, or how is that structured?
So the partnership, it's an LLC, and it's 50-50 right down the middle with my business partner, Mr. Nick Hodge, and myself. And so, we were the primary investors. We split everything right down the middle. And, we've been business partners now coming up on 8.5 years, a quick 8.5 years. And it's been absolutely fantastic, right? We have a group of about 14 employees, all of them remote in different parts of the country, some in Washington State, some in Baltimore, you name it, we're spread out. But no, it's a great group. I have a phenomenal staff that makes me look and sound a whole heck of a lot smarter than I really am. And so it's been a fun journey.
Awesome. Love hearing that. And teamwork makes the dream work, I always say.
That's a fact. That's a fact. Absolutely.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, what does your annual revenue look like nowadays?
Between the publishing company, this is independent of the investing because that's really my bread and butter. But we're generating roughly between $4 and $5 million annually in sales right now. And so, obviously the goal, like every business, is to continue to grow that, but we also want to make sure that we don't compromise, the quality for the quantity, right? And so that's
Mhm.
really, really important. We like to pride ourselves on, our integrity and our transparency, and I think there's a methodical way to grow a business without compromising the quality just for growth's sake, right? Or just for dollars' sake. There's business is fun and making money is great, but there's more to it than that for me. If you're gonna play the long game, which is how we always do everything, really, it's how we invest, is how when we're strategizing, it's how we hire. It really is with a vision for the future. So yeah, it's kind of where we're at right now.
Wow, very cool. Well, thank you for sharing that with me. Now,
Mm-hmm.
I'd like to kind of dive into your day to day. I'm sure, as you know, someone in business, your day to day, everybody's looks different. So, what would you say a typical day to day looks like? Are you focused more in the business, on the business, or a little bit of both?
It's my typical morning. I'm up, I'm looking at the markets. Again, I consider myself an investor first, right? And because of the business and what we provide as far as research and ideas, um, depends on, us having our finger on the pulse, what's going on in the markets, whether it's the currency markets, whether it's overseas, whether it's here in the US, it could be a jobs report, be the price of a commodity, it could be the dollar index, whatever the case may be. My responsibility to our subscribers and our readers and the people that I invest with is to make sure that I'm staying ahead of trends and that I'm reacting to them in a timely manner and maximizing the ideas that we're providing our audience, right? And so
Mhm.
the day always starts with the markets and a cup of coffee, and we'll get a jog in because that's important, the balance, right? And I mean, to be perfectly honest with you, it at this point it really doesn't feel like work. The
Mhm.
parts of the business that feel like work, luckily for us, we have a phenomenal staff that kind of takes care of that, whether it's the marketing or the behind the scenes operations of the website and all of the things that can go wrong technically when you have a publishing company that is based online and thousands of subscribers that are paying you for advice. And so for me, it really is all about getting results for myself and for our readers.
Mhm. Very cool. Well, I'm super excited to dive more into the team. And, thanks for sharing about your role and your employees and, kind of let's dive into what makes your business special, the things you're talking about. And so, if I were to be like a typical reader, a typical customer of your
Mhm.
service, how would I know I'd be a good fit for you?
I would start by asking you what your goals are. What are you trying to accomplish? I do this with friends and family all of the time, right? I'll have a conversation. The first thing I'll ask them is like, well, what does financial independence look like for you? Because that's very different for everyone. Everyone has a different number. Everyone has a different vision of what that should look and feel like. And there's no right or wrong answer. It really is person specific, right? So me being able to understand that prevents me from rambling and ranting for an hour before we get to the heart of the matter, right? Are you trying to make passive income on the side? Are you just trying to take care of debt? Are you trying to make $5 million this year? It's very different for everyone. So depending on your risk tolerance and my ability to understand that, then I could come up with some ideas on how I personally would approach it. You can kind of go from there. So
Mhm.
financial independence is something I'm really passionate about. I grew up very, very, paycheck to paycheck. Family worked hard. Both parents worked incredibly hard, kind of that immigrant spirit, right? And, luckily we were able to make some decisions early on through some real estate deals and eventually getting into the market that literally paid off for us. And so me being able to share that and give that back and providing some guidance on how to get to those next steps is like the everything to me. It's like a puzzle piece to me.
Oh, definitely. Well, this is super fun too to talk about. It sounds like you make finances fun in a way.
I like to try to make everything fun if possible, right? I mean, that's life is short, and I tell everybody it's we don't often get to pick what we do for a living or how much fun we have at it. I'm very fortunate, right? I'm lucky enough to be able to do what I love and love what I do, and luckily, be compensated well for it. And so, yeah, I try to have a good time with everything. Life's too short to run around with a somber face and just, the world is an interesting place right now. And so, if you can smile a little bit and pass that on to somebody, why not?
Yes, I completely agree. And so, why do your customers choose you? It sounds like it's like an incredible service. So, what is their why?
I think the credibility, right? The thing that I really love about the markets and investing and financing a company is the accountability that comes with that. So what I mean by that is, let's say that Kay is interested in investing $10,000 and has a 3-year timeline and would like to see that grow, I don't know, 300%, whatever the number may be, right? Then we would sit down and we would go over the risk, the downside, the upside, how I see it getting there, and then you could make the decision about whether or not that's something you want to allocate capital to, right?
Mhm.
So for me, understanding that is like the basis of everything else that we do. And luckily, we've been successful, and people have seen a lot of those successes, right? We took a company recently, a couple of years ago. The company had a lithium asset in Canada. Without getting too technical, it was a company, it was a penny stock. It traded at 16 cents. And we helped finance that company. We kind of helped advise it as to the direction they should take. And that company over the last 2 years turned into a $17 company.
Wow.
So, and is every story like that? Of course not. But when you have, any amount of capital, you could just do the math, right? From 16 cents to $17, whatever amount you had in there, you're going to do well. And so for us, having those types of wins and being able to duplicate those on a consistent basis over the last 15 or 16 years in a very public way, I think just brings a lot of credibility with our audience. And when things don't work out, they usually understand why they didn't work out. We all understand that investing, just like business, it's high risk, it's high reward. Kind of got to be wired for that, and not everyone is, which is
Yeah.
fine. But for me, again, it's fun. I absolutely love it. It's to be able to take something. I mentioned the puzzle. It's like a puzzle to me. It's you can get the puzzle, you could buy it, you can see what the picture looks like, but you might not get the pieces in the right order right away. And being able to put that puzzle together is fascinating to me, and helping others get there is also fascinating to me. So yeah, I think credibility is a big deal for us. And then the network, we've been around in the space for, as I mentioned, nearly 2 decades. And in the network of people that we've been able to develop, whether it's financiers or geologists or CEOs,
Mhm.
we're fortunate to have a good group around us. People much smarter than I.
Oh, it's super cool. Well, what is one thing that you would like your customers to know about you that they maybe don't, or people in general about your business?
I would like them to know that anytime I'm going to talk my own book, right? But anytime you pay anyone for a service, be it a cup of coffee or a piece of stock advice, um, make sure you're vetting people, make sure that you're investing capital and time in people that have a track record of honesty and transparency. Because whether it's investing in real estate or investing in the stock market, no one is going to get it right every time. But it's
Mhm.
important that when you get it wrong honestly, right? And in a transparent way. And I think, again, I think a large reason for the following that we have and the amount of paying subscribers that we have, and many of these people have been with us for, over a decade now, is the credibility that we bring to everything. So
Mhm.
I think it's in the financial space, especially in the publishing world, it's very easy to just put a service out there for the sake of making money, and you want to make sure that people are actually people have skin in the game. We're investors first. If I give you a stock idea, I likely have a significant amount of capital invested in that company, or I'll explain to you why I don't, right? But that
Mhm.
transparency is important. So I would caution people that when they're looking for, financial advice, or when they're looking for stock ideas or research, know who you're getting that from. And having a website doesn't make you qualified. Being rich doesn't make you qualified.
Mhm.
There's more to it than that.
Yes, definitely, definitely. And so, kind of want to dive into your marketing. We've gotten a really great, well-rounded look at what your business is and how are you talking to people about your business? And so, what are some of your ways that you're finding success in your marketing pursuits?
We actually do that in several ways. So under the Digest Publishing banner, we have a separate company per se, but the same group of employees. It's called resourcestockdigest.com. And that is a media company that helps the companies that we invest in or vet create content to get their story out. And so for us, it's been relatively easy to get our message across, because my business partner and I speak on the conference circuit every year. We're at multiple conferences speaking. We also have a podcast called the Bizarro World Podcast. We can put a link up to that.
Yeah.
And then the media company. So it's really just a well-rounded approach, right? And separate from that, we have an in-house SEO team, marketing team that does a brilliant job of doing all the stuff that I don't quite comprehend as well as I understand the financial space, or I understand, the resource market. But they're really, really good at making sure that it looks and it sounds the way it's supposed to, and that we're getting the message across to people.
Definitely. I love the idea of a media team. That's pretty cool to kind of like create that in-house content with it's almost gives you that extra layer of content. Right.
Absolutely. I'll give you an example. There's a company that, I have a pretty significant investment in, and it's a company in Peru, and it's on to what I think is going to be one of the most important copper gold discoveries in recent times. So anyhow,
Mm.
we're headed to Peru here in 2 weeks. We're going to be in the jungle. We're going to be out looking at the properties. We're going to be vetting the deposits with geologists, and we're taking our camera crew with us. And so,
Yes.
they'll create a whole production around that, and we'll come back and be able to give exclusive footage to our subscribers on the project, meeting with the geologist, meeting with the CEO and the president. So it's stuff like that I think really resonates with people. It's neat when you can take a camera crew, have access to the site, have access to the management team, and then provide that to your subscribers. It's fun, but I think for them it's neat as well.
Oh, definitely. It just adds that sense of storytelling too to your
Yes.
to it. That's very, very cool.
Yeah.
And kind of like looking at organizing all the moving parts. What kind of CRM are you using or that you recommend in
Ooh,
business?
that's a question for Miss Megan and Mr. Nick Hodge. Nick Hodge being the quarterback on that side of things. That's definitely not a question for Gerardo Del Real. So I'm gonna have to defer on that one because I don't. I like to stick to my knitting, and that definitely
Yes.
is not my knitting.
If we had phone a friend service, that would be like the perfect time for
Yeah,
phone a
that's
friend.
hilarious.
Well, we've spent so much time focusing on your business, on the marketing. I want to learn about you and kind of what inspired you to go into business on your own as opposed to working for somebody else. What was that transition like for you? And how did that get you into your growth in business?
We're gonna be here for a long time, Kay, but I'll try to make it short. So I'll tell you what inspired me. Just honestly, growing up broke, right? Like we just didn't have much
Mhm.
growing up, and so I'm a big reader. I read a lot, and when I was younger, I read a lot of biographies, right, and autobiographies. And as I studied history and I studied the people that eventually became very, very successful in whatever it is that their field was. I learned that most of the people start out, with an idea and with work ethic and with consistency. But you'd be surprised how many people don't have it handed to them. They actually start out, just developing their work ethic. And I think that's something that was really motivational for me, seeing, okay, well, if Robert De Niro, who's an actor, right, can come from the humble beginnings he came and became one of the best actors ever, then anybody can do it if they're willing to work hard enough, be consistent, learn their craft, whatever that craft may be. And so that, if being broke doesn't inspire you to work hard and try to find a way to kind of break that and break out of that, then I really don't know what will. But for me, it definitely inspired me. Don't like being broke and really love progress and learning and being the best version of myself. And that extends to business, right? It extends to finances. So that's kind of the short version of it.
That is very inspiring. Like hearing those words too. It's just like you hear the stories that, you start from nothing and you create something. And that I think is going to be so inspiring to anybody who's watching or listening to this. So kind of diving into looking at the business ahead. What is your trajectory for the next 3 to 5 years?
Yeah, we want to be, in the space that we dabble in, the resource space, the crypto space, the tech space. We want to be the go-to boutique financial research company, publishing company in the entire space. That's really the goal, right? The sales and then the revenue that comes organically if you're focused on the mission and you're focused on the task at hand. And the task at hand for us is, it's fun, but I'm competitive. I want to outpick every stock picker out there. I want to have, a 10,000% win every couple of years if possible. I want to be able to have, subscribers that, and then they often do, which is great, right? That write in and say, man, I thought you were crazy with this idea 2 years ago, but I put $10,000 into it and now I have X amount of dollars. I really get a kick out of that. And then the best way to continue to deliver that to subscribers and our audience is like trying to set ourselves apart through our network, through our work ethic to be the standard when it comes to, a boutique financial publishing company for sure.
Definitely. Well, it sounds like you're setting yourself up for success. And that leads me into goal setting. And so, thinking about those goals that you have for the next 3 to 5 years, what is your approach to goal setting? Do you have one goal, multiple goals? How do you work with goals?
I think I'm pretty sure I have ADHD, right? And I think if I just had one goal, I would die. I most definitely have a long, long list, and some of it's business wise. It's not so much money anymore, right? I used to have a number in my head, and then luckily I was able to achieve that number, and then I had another number, and what I've learned is that number is going to continue moving. That's going to be it's not going to be fixed. But as far as
Mhm.
individual goals, the goals individually are always to be the best version of myself, whether that's,
Mm.
health wise, eating better, exercising more, spending that quality time with my wife and with my kids. That's important. Teaching them, independence and
Mhm.
helping them find their best version of themselves and the things they're passionate about. I'm equally as passionate about that as I am the business. And it really is just one philosophy, right? And that's be the best version of what you can be. And that obviously applies to the business as well. Be the best version of what that business can be. That could be 10 million in sales, it could be 100 million in sales. It
Mhm.
really is about the quality on the path to getting to that number, whatever that is for you.
Definitely agree with you there. Well, we've covered so much ground in this conversation. I love the energy you bring. And now I want
Thank
to dive
you.
in. Yes, it's so much fun. And so now we're going to dive into probably the coolest part of the conversation, which is
Uh-oh.
our rapid fire
Oh, I
question.
love rapid fire. Let's go. Do
Awesome. We
it.
got 4 questions for you today. So,
Fire
number
away.
one, what is the key to success for you?
Passion and consistency.
Hmm. And second question is, what piece of advice do you have for other business owners?
Never be the smartest person in the room. If you are, you need to get around smarter people, right? Like, and don't be afraid to ask questions, because I am the like old I joke that I do 5 things well in life, like in all of life, and then the rest I just have people that do those things really well around me. And so I always know I'm really good at asking and just getting, to the point, but advice from people that are very well versed, like your CRM question or like a marketing thing or whatever it may be, right? So yes, don't be afraid to ask for advice and keep smarter people around you. It'll be hugely beneficial.
Definitely. So, what is one book or piece of content, could be
Ooh,
anything, that has resonated with you most recently?
ooh, I'm actually reading. Look,
Ah!
come back. The Fourth Turning. And
Nice.
so it's it's what the seasons of history tell us about how and when the crisis will end. The crisis being, kind of where we're at in the world with everything. And so it's a follow
Mm,
up to the original Fourth Turning book, and I strongly recommend it for everyone. You get to look at economics and history and society and demographics from a historical context. And I'm a bit of a geek as well. So yeah, that definitely keeps me stimulated and entertained, and good read.
that looks like a great read. And our final question is, if you could choose only one aspect of business to rapidly improve overnight, what would it be?
For myself or for others?
For yourself and like the business growth.
Oh, I really like where we're at right now. It would be great to influence other businesses to have the same moral compass, because our space can be sometimes void of that, right? Anytime you're dealing with money and allocating capital and business. I really wish there was more of an effort for transparency with others and with us. We just want to continue to do that in the way that we've done that in the past, by being honest, by being transparent, by working hard, by being consistent, and by doing the work. So yeah, just want to do more of what we're doing already. And yeah, I wish others in the business had that kind of priority on the people that pay them ultimately, right?
Definitely. That I really like that. That's amazing. And so that was our rapid fire. And
Loved it.
yes, you did amazing.
Thank you.
How can people find you and connect with you?
The two companies, which are really just one, if you go to digestpublishing.com, you can meet our talented group of editors. We also have resourcestockdigest.com. You'll see tons of free interviews with CEOs, geologists, different companies in the resource space. And then you can go to dailyprofitcycle.com, which again is another free site with a ton of information, free information on there. And it's where our podcast is, Bizarro World. So the Bizarro World podcast. So between those three, there's a contact tab. You can always reach out. I'm always available. I try to respond to every single email that I get, and love chatting with people. So reach out.
Definitely. Well, for our final question for today, what is most inspiring to you today?
I really am just laser focused on helping further financial independence for people, because ultimately it's freedom, right? It's
Mhm.
not just about the making money part, it's what that financial independence can do for you as far as your options, your quality of life, your health, how you take care of those around you. So that's just it's what I'll do for the next 30, 40, 45, 50 years until I go crazy and can no longer do it. But that's, yeah, financial independence and the advancement of that for other people is near and dear to my heart.
Oh, well, this has been an incredible conversation. Thank you so much,
Thank you.
Geraldo.
Thank you
Um,
so much for having me. It's been an absolute pleasure.